Hi guys, Artiar here. So for this video is about the legendary Abilimon tier list for PvE only. Okay, so before we start the tier list, I'm gonna go through a bit of the information you need to know before you understand the tier list. Alright, so first thing, this tier list here is only for legendary Abilimon and it's only for purely PvE content. So you might see some Esper that is not needed to level up. It's because they might be good in PvP only, so you doesn't really need it. This tier list will be the PvE case, who will be the highest priority to level up if you want to use them in PvE. Alright, so let's take a look at the tier list here. I differentiate into a few categories, which is the highest priority, good to have, once S3 max without Steel Strong and only Avatar. So highest priority, the moment you get the Esper, you want to actually max him or her out as fast as possible, because every skill up on him or her actually values a lot. It actually matters a lot as well. Then good to have is without the skill up actually still very strong, but if you have skill up on it, it's even better. Then for the once S3 max is, so the Abilimon in Dislyte system here is random, right? It's random level up. So for that Esper, if already S3 max, then you can actually stop it already. Okay, then for without Steel Strong, you don't have to skill it up. It's already very strong in PvE content. Then only Avatar is, if you're only a PvE player, you don't really enjoy PvP, then if you want the Avatar, then you need the skill up, right? For a legendary Abilimon. So if you only want the Avatar, then you only skill up, or else he or she won't be bringing any value for PvE cases. Okay, so the first one we're gonna go through is Hilda. So Hilda is mainly used in a lot of PvE content, but personally for me, I don't really think Hilda's priority is that high, because Hilda already does what she does without the skill up, but the skill up on S2 and S3 actually matters a lot, because the rotation of your skill is even better, but it's not that high priority. So I would say it's actually good to have skill up on her, but you need to actually hit the cooldown reduction part. Then for Mavis here, I would say without is still strong, because Mavis doesn't need any skill up. Her kit just give her damage, but she doesn't really need damage. So Mavis won't bring any value for you in terms of skilling up her. Then for Cecilia is a PvP Esper, so only if you want for Avatar. Then for Liam, I would say is the highest priority, because if you want to use Liam, every damage on him, every passive on him, the one that give him crit rate, and every S3 on him is very important. The cooldown, the crit rate bonus, the S1 damage, because the S1 damage affects your healing for your whole teammate. So I would totally rate Liam as the highest priority. So if you have Liam and you want to use him in PvE content, definitely worth the max out the skill up. Then for Gabriel here, I would still say only for once it's actually S3 max, you can actually stop her already, because the S1 deals like some damage, but the moment you want to use Gabriel is actually for the immunity and defense break. So the rest of the skill is not really that important. So once your S3 is max, you can actually stop her already. So for the S2 part, maybe you can consider, it's not really that important. Then for Feng Nusi, if you want to use in PvE content, without the skill up is also still strong, because the rotation of her, like casting S3 and S2, technically is already enough to help you clear the Infinity Tower. And after that, she is not really used in a lot of PvE content, so I won't rate her priority is that high. Most of the time, you just want her to cast the S3, S2, then after that, it's just let it go, right? Just see how fast you can rotate your Nusi skill. So I would say it's not that high priority. So I would say it's still very strong already. Then for Ollie, I would say it's actually good to have, because Ollie's damage matters for him, and the passive and the S3 actually matters, especially in Chronos. So I would say Ollie's skill up is actually good to have, because it matters your damage output, it matters like how many turns for you to trigger your passive. Then for Jiang Zhili, it's only for Avatar. For PvE case, you won't be using any as well. Then Fumitsuki as well, then Wu Yu as well, they're all the PvP Espers. Raven, I would say is actually the highest priority, especially if you are using Raven for all those speed clear tower. Every damage on her actually matters, and she can be used as Dispeller, she can be used as a DPS, as a passive speed clear DPS as well, so it's very important. Every skill up on her is important, including the S1. Then for height, it's only for Avatar. 𝐀𝐁𝐈𝐋𝐍 as well. You won't be really used in PvE. Then for 𝐀𝐈𝐋𝐈𝐿, I would say it's good to have. It's like not really necessary. Okay. 𝐀𝐈𝐋𝐈𝐿, I would say is S3 max because it's not really necessary to upgrade his skill. He already does what he really need to do. But if you have S3 max, which means you have one more turn rotation at your S3, so you can cast another time of calamity. So your calamity debuff to the enemy will be rotating faster. So I would say S3 max, you can actually stop it already because he won't be really dealing a lot of damage to anyone anyway. So once you S3, then you can actually stop it. Then for Donner, only for Avatar. Armored wise, I would say it's S3 only. If you want to use armored in PvE, S3 is the maximum you should actually go for. You want to pray he don't actually go for S1 because the S1 only increases his damage, it's not increase your healing portion. So it doesn't really affect a lot. Then for Embla here, I would say is Without is already strong because the Embla DPS isn't coming from her skill damage. Embla's DPS is coming from her seed procs. So isn't that high priority to actually level Embla up. Then for Tether, I would say it's the highest priority. Like if you want to use Tether, S1 and S3 is very important. Every skill on Tether is very important. It makes up the damage if you want to use Tether in like Desolate Land or Andras. Without skill up and skill up, you will see a very big difference, including S1 and S3. Then for Pharah, I would say is without still very strong in PvE. Like if you want to use her, doesn't really need skill up. She's already strong enough to help you dispel, help you freeze them, all those stuff, right? Then for Yin Chuan here, I would say it's actually good to have. It's not like very high priority, but every damage on him actually makes your the R2, the dog assist even better. The skill up for the rotation for S3 is even faster, and the damage from S1 as well. Alright, so I would say it's actually good to have Abilimon on them. If you want to max him up, it's also fine, just that he's not as high priority as the one on top here. Then for Iliad here, I would say it's only Avatar. Genie is only for Avatar. Then for Biotina, I would say Biotina is without still strong. It's like you won't be really using her other than Dark Starlord, but you won't be skilling her up. She can already do the dispel. Then for Suje here, it really depends, right? But I would say Suje have the highest priority here. It's just because your S3 damage matters, your S2 damage matters, not S1 maybe, but every single ability one on her actually is worth it, even though you don't max her out. But like cases like R2 Suje, you want the S3 damage to be higher, so I would say Suje's ability mod is totally worth it. Then for Abigail, if you want to use her in PvE content, I would say S3 is very important. Without S3, without a maxed out S3 in Abigail, is useless. You just use other S4 is better, like Fabrice is even better than Abigail if you don't S3 level up Abigail's skill. Then for Archibald here, without the skill up is already very strong because you just want to deal the debuff to the enemy, not really the damage. Then for Fushi here, in terms of PvE, I would say actually is at least the S3 max. You want your rotation, your Fushi's S3 rotation to be faster, so if you really want to use him in PvE, I would say at least max the S3 to use it. Then for Jinyuya here, without is still very strong. Senia here, I would say is good to have to make the rotation to be faster if you really want to use her. Then for Li Ling, only Avatar. For Yamato, only Avatar. It's not really gonna do anything else. Then for Valeria here, without is still strong, right? If you want to use Valeria, I would say it's good to have. Like having ability mod on her actually matters as well because of the DPS output. Then for Phantom Sister here, well, this is hard. Phantom Sister, everything on Phantom Sister is still very strong, right? I would say Phantom Sister is actually worth the skill up since the usage in Falsetto Fantasy. Yeah, I would say Phantom Sister is good to have. Like the cooldown reduction and the rotation is actually matters a lot for Phantom Sister situation. Then for Camille, it's going to be only Avatar. For Intisa, without is still strong. Nama, I think you have to S3 max, right? If you really want to use him in PvE, you have to max his S3 out for his damage output, or else just don't use Nama if you don't even skill the Nama out. So I would say once S3 max is enough already. Then for Elaine here is really good to have. Then for Tricky here is S3, because the S3 on the moment you want to use Tricky in PvE content, you want his S3 to be consistent. You want his S3 to actually able to dispel everyone's buff, and the skill up on the S3 actually matters because it affects the trigger chance of the dispel. So without the S3 max out, your Tricky's dispel won't be that consistent because you didn't skill up the effect. Then for Gaius here, if you really want to use him, if you want to use him in PvE, I would say at least your S3 have to be max, cause for your rotation of the god mode, or else you can't even use him as well. Then for Lucas, only Avatar. Then for Matteo, I would say good to have. Every single Abilimon on him is strong. Then for Unas here, if you really want to use him, S3 have to be max. Then for TA here, without is still strong. Without the skill up, she's already doing what she need to do. Then for Zora, it's only for Avatar. Feng Shun's here, I would say, is the highest priority. All the damage on Feng Shun's S1, damage from S2, the S3 cooldown reduction is very important. If you already max out the S3, if you want to stop, it's fine. But I would say S1 is also very important for him because of the punch. Every punches from him is actually counted as DPS, and every punches from him, the more DPS you have, the more healing it gains to the team. So I would actually max him out. If you have Feng Shun, I would highly recommend just max him out, even though if you already max out the S3. Then for Lian here, at least max out your S3 for the shield strength, because the Lian S skill up actually matters for the amount of the shield she's able to cast in the battle. Then for Javid here is only Avatar. Brewster here, I would say it's good to have. Like if you really want to use R2 Brewster without skill up, and skill up is a big thing because of the damage output of the bullet stack. Then for Luis, it's only Avatar. For Leora, I would say it's without is still strong enough. It's like you skill up, then she'll have more DPS, right? But she doesn't need a cooldown. She'll always refresh the cooldown when she go to a next wave. So the cooldown for her isn't really that necessary. So I wouldn't be saying that Leora really need the Abilimon. But if you want Leora to deal more damage, then she needs the Abilimon. Then for Tolan here, it's only for Avatar, not needed. For Jinchu here, it's good to have. It's not like very priority to actually level up Jinchu. But wait, let me think. If I really want to use Jinchu, I want his S2 to rotate faster than S3, right? So if I have to compare like this, because Jinchu priority is not as high as them, if I have to compare, yeah, I'll put Jinchu as good to have. It's like without that, he's still doing fine. But you have Abilimon, he deals more damage and more skill rotation as well. Then for Sally, I would say it's good to have. Then for Champagne, I would say it's good to have. Is to make sure the CD reduction faster. Clara S3 only. You don't really want Clara to get the Abilimon on S1. It's not really that important. Then for Ashley, without Abilimon, she's already doing what she does. Then for Everett, it's only for Avatar. Iki is only for Avatar. Ethan here, I would say it's without still strong, because in the moment you want to use Ethan is most of the time is because of he is R2 Ethan, and R2 Ethan doesn't matter with your Abilimon skill up, so it doesn't matter. Then for Tang Chen here, I would say it's only for Avatar. Nora only for Avatar. Hailey without is still strong. Without the skill up, she is already doing what she needed to do. So I don't really think Hailey needed the Abilimon. Even for myself, I don't skill her up. She's just doing what she needs. Then for Anna here, if you're going to use Anna in PvE content, she will be the highest priority because you really want the every skill up on her to make her functionable for PvE content. So if you are early game player or mid game player and you are using Anna in your PvE content, definitely skill her up. She'll worth the every Abilimon you need. Then for Yuhime, I would say only for Avatar. Ophelia is only for Avatar. Then for Yuran, without is still strong, because if you really want to use Yuran, the zero rotation actually matters. But without that, Yuran is still doing what she does, what he does, because he just need to make the enemy sleep, right? Then for 𝐀𝐈𝐋𝐈𝐌 wise, it's gonna be 𝐀𝐈𝐋 tier. She's just being cute here, being special treatment. So she's staying here. Right, so if I take a look at my final Abilimon tier list here, I mean, you guys can actually comment down and debate with me if you think that some specific Esper needed a higher tier, because this is not actually a tier thing. It's like some have to be S3 to be usable, some is actually having the skill up on them is good, then without is actually strong already. Then the highest priority is like you can actually max every single skill on them to actually be good if you want to use for PvE content. So if you want to check out the PvE tier list, you can check out the other video for pure PvE tier list, then you compare with this one, then you only get the final decision for the skill up, right? But if I have to compare, maybe I'll put Valera a lower tier here, like not really needed. I don't think so. But her S1 does AP down though. His S1 AP down is important if you really want to use her in PvE content. Okay, I think this will be my finalized tier list for my own one. Like if I have all this Esper, this is how I'm going to judge their level up priority. So I will always max out the Esper on top here, definitely max out for PvE content. Then I'll consider the second row one. If I really want to use them in PvE content, I would actually invest the Abilimon on them. Then for once S3 max, I would pray that my Abilimon actually lands to their S3 more often rather than their S1 or S2, because the S1 or S2 won't bring too much benefits, because most likely you just want the S3 to be skill up. Then without skill up it's still strong. It's like I don't think they really need the Abilimon to be functionable. Doesn't mean that they are not strong. Okay, I put here doesn't mean that, like I put Mavis here doesn't mean that Mavis is not strong. Just that Mavis doesn't need the Abilimon to be strong. Alright, then for the only avatar here, most of them are actually PvP Esper. They don't really need the Abilimon to be useful in PvE content. Right, this is how I'm going to judge them. And yeah, feel free to comment down how do you think about it. If you have anything else or you disagree on it, feel free to comment down and tell me like what is the reason or how do you think about it, so I can also listen to more people's advice as well. Right, so hope you guys enjoyed the video and see you guys in the next video. Bye bye. Special thanks for the direct support on the YouTube membership. So for the benefactor of Artiar, which is JNMP, Roses15, 𝐀𝐁𝐈𝐋𝐍, thank you so much for the support. And for the supporter and patron of Artiar, which is Louis Schneider, Agni, Code Wilderness, Wang Tamer, Ziggy, Kamaruki, Sunwaltz, Rimu, Choni, Von Hexa, Luxley, Roshan Bessie, Antonio Winterspoon, and Noah 𝐀𝐁𝐈𝐋𝐈𝐌. Thank you so much for the support and hope you guys enjoy the video. Bye bye.